Hello everyone, welcome back to our next video. Thank you for joining us on our channel and hope you're enjoying what you've seen so far. I guess this video is going to be a little bit different. So far you've seen a few of our van trips and a little bit of an intro into what we're doing. This one I thought I'd cover just a little bit in more detail, kind of why we're doing what we're doing and what we're doing and what our plans are. Obviously coming up to the new year very soon, we're starting to think about, you know, what trips we want to go on, what we want to achieve. I think firstly I'll just address why it's just me speaking to you today. So I sort of alluded to the fact in our previous video, Kelly does suffer with fibromyalgia. And we did have to kind of cut our last extended trip short due to her being poorly. Now, it's not new for Kelly to feel that way. She's kind of been managing it on and off on bad days and good days for, I think, about 7 or 8 years, something like that. And she was poorly, so we were planning a big extended trip once we left the Peak District. We were going to be heading up to Scotland and doing all that in Vera the van. So we came back because we knew, you know, she was quite unwell, and I think it's important. And one thing I've realised with van life is that it's all go, 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 and there's so many positives, but it can be exhausting at the same time. So we took some time out, a couple of weeks out, rested and recuperated, and I just thought I'd come on today to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about what we're doing next, as I said. Now, Kelly's not here now because she has no luck whatsoever and she's actually got the flu at the moment. So I said that, you know, I'd take one for the team and I'll come on and chat. And I think that leads to, primarily it is going to be me that you see on screen. You know, I'm by all means, I'm not a massive confident person. I don't have a lot of confidence in myself. I have actually found this a bit cathartic by coming on camera and talking and just enjoying what I'm doing with all this new van stuff that we're getting involved with and what the future holds and escaping the system and that type of thing. So, right, we've covered that. Kelly's still not 100%. We want to kind of interrupt the stream of videos that we have had on our van trips. One, because we just want to provide an update and a bit more in depth about what we're doing next year and why we're doing it and how we're doing it, essentially. But also, don't fret, we've been on a couple of trips since the Peak District. We'll be sharing those with you on this channel as well, trying to share regular content as regular as we can, and we're already thinking about where we're going to be headed in January, so we've got a good couple of ideas for that, and we can't wait to share that with you. We're really excited about that trip. Actually, we'll share more details as and when we get a bit closer to that time. So I spoke a little bit in our introduction shot, which was our first video, and we just sort of said, you know, that we'd quit the 9 to 5 and the corporate life, and we just wanted to share our journey. Now, it has kind of been really tough, I'm not going to lie. I just wanted to maybe explain a little bit, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. Obviously, some of it's quite personal, but to just give a bit of context. So I started my previous role at work, the corporate 9 to 5, when I was 17. I turned 42 last year, so I was at the place for nearly 25 years. I worked extremely hard. I loved my job. I loved the people. And you know what? There's no hard feelings whatsoever, so I'm not going to go down that road, so don't think there's anything of a bit juicy gossip or anything like that. I still have such fond memories of my time there, and I started off as a junior print technician, a print trainee as it was called back in early 2000 when I first started at the previous company, and I loved it, and I worked really hard. I had no training, no idea, no knowledge of what that sort of job was going to entail, and I worked my way through the ranks, you know, and I became a senior leader within service. So I was essentially a senior service delivery manager, something I was passionate about, something that I guess I'm still passionate about it. I love kind of being with people and helping people and guiding and that type of thing. I always aspired to to keep pushing myself and keep getting that next promotion. And I worked hard. I worked around the clock when I was in a more junior role, you know, catching all the overtime and that type of stuff. So I'm not scared of work. I think for me, it's like you always want to get to that next step, and when you get there, you're thinking, what's next? What's next? And while I was still enjoying it up until I kind of became unwell, and that was around March time. You know, I'd recently done a course and an exam just before I became poorly. But anyway, that aside, essentially with my role, I got to a point where I was thinking, I'm not enjoying it as much. I loved it years ago when it was me and my team, my small team, and I was doing what I was doing. I was still enjoying the people side of it. However, let's just say I wasn't 100% comfortable with things that I was part of, because I was more senior, so I was privy to a lot of different information. And it's not for everyone, and you know, it's fine if that is. That's absolutely fine. Everyone is different. But for me, I was burnt out, quite frankly. Being in a service role, and those of you that are in service roles, you know that it's not always, you can't always switch off. I was finding it hard to switch off outside of work, and I always thought that, you know, the more senior became, the more responsibility, of course, and the more kind of oversight you'd have over different areas of the business. But I did think I didn't need to be involved in the weeds as such and the day-to-day. But unfortunately, the nature of the job and the nature of my leadership, I was involved in everything. I was kind of living the dream on one hand, but on the other hand, which I wasn't really taking much notice of, I was just constantly tired. I was irritable. Poor Kelly obviously bore the brunt of it. When I was home, I would go to work, I would come home, and I would be so peopled out that I just didn't have the energy to even hold a conversation, and I just wanted to think of nothing. I just wanted to empty my brain, which was hard. I was having sleepless nights. I was just thoroughly exhausted. And in the end, at the beginning of this year, I think it was March, April time, I just froze. I had no idea what it was I was meant to be doing. I kind of couldn't think of anything. I was emotional. I was crying at the drop of a hat. It was so unlike me, because my team and my job had always been my everything, so I just didn't understand what that was. And I'm still learning who I am without that job, if I'm quite honest with you. But I took some time out. I had some therapy. I was regular at the doctors, you know, talking things through, and it's just not for me anymore. And that's very hard and very strange for me still to say. So we knew that I needed to get out of the system. You know, Kelly and I have been together for, she's going to kill me if I get this wrong, but 20 years next year, and we've been married 7 of those. Ever since we've been together, our dream is always to do something different. And we always used to joke, we want to get a farm, we want to do that type of thing. So once I realised that there was life outside of the job, you know, I did take some time out while I was poorly, and then I decided to resign from that position. And as hard as it has been, and I still have tough days, don't get me wrong, and I'd be silly to say that I didn't miss any of it, and I don't think that would be normal. Of course I miss it. I miss some of the people. You know, I miss the banter, I miss the kind of, especially this time of year, all the Christmassy bits, you know, Secret Santa, going out for drinks and stuff like that. But where we are at the moment is, that was a fantastic part of our lives. Kelly was a brand guardian, a graphic designer, doing so well. She went to university, she passed her degree when she was younger. She worked in some high profile graphic design roles. But up until 2 years ago, she was doing so well with her career. We were both, you know, such a good place with home, you know, relationship, with jobs. Unfortunately, Kelly's physical illness just took over, and she's unable to work for the last 2 years. And I think maybe for me, because we've always had like a long-term dream to do something different, I sort of felt that maybe, and this is really harsh to say, and I've spoken about this to Kelly, is that I felt she was kind of living one foot in the life that we truly wanted, but I was still having to work all the hours under the sun. And looking back, that is so selfish, because obviously I'm sure that she would much rather be working than being poorly. So we talked all that through, and I think, like, I was diagnosed with burnout, and I think so many more people out there are suffering from burnout, but they're just pushing through because that's what society says, isn't it, right? You know, you get married, you have kids, you get a job, you got to work hard, you got to get the promotion, you got to get the mortgage, all those trappings of life that do trap you. Of course, it's getting a bit deep now, sorry about that, but it's good therapy for me. So we'd done that. We'd had the long haul holidays. We had our beautiful house. You know, we started to grow our own veg. You know, we converted the grass in the lawn in the garden. We had raised veg beds. We were loving all that. We were doing canning, a little bit into prepping. We love all that sort of stuff as well. And then it was like, this is not going to work long term. Like, health is so much more important. So what we did, and please don't take my advice on changing your own lives. You have to think and do what is right for you. So once I was in contact with my firm and I was resigning, you know, it was either a case of having to quickly look for another job, and carrying on paying the mortgage, which, the way I was feeling a few months ago, and this was as recent as 3 or 4 months ago, you know, so it's still quite raw. I could go back and get another job, get another mortgage, well, continue to pay the mortgage. But I knew it was just it wasn't 100% what I wanted. So we did make a drastic decision. We had to sell the house, essentially, because if I wasn't going to go and get another job, then we couldn't pay the mortgage. We couldn't pay for our house that we had. We had a lovely house, and it was actually my childhood home that we purchased from my parents. We're pretty close to my parents, so luckily for us, we are using their house as a base, as a kind of stopgap to what we do next, which has been a lifesaver. But it was still quite traumatic. You know, we sold majority of our possessions. We had a brand new car, essentially, and we sold that. That was on finance. We cleared the finance, then bought a smaller car, so we don't owe anything on that. We didn't want to have any debts whatsoever when we started to decide what the future holds for us. So we're debt-free. Yes, people might say, yeah, you're debt-free, but you're living at your mum and dad's. Fine. Lots of people do live at their mum and dad's, but for us, we knew we had to do something drastic. And one thing that our family and friends will always say about us, you know, some people have pipe dreams and you say, I wish I could do that, or I've always wanted to do that. 9 times out of 10, if we say we're going to do something, no matter how dramatic or how crazy it is, we pretty much do it. So by this time, and this was round about August, September, we'd sold our house, we moved into my parents'. We've got also, that you haven't seen that much of, but our 2 fur babies, so Fizz and Pickle, are our 2 cats. They're coming up 14 in a few months, so they're getting on a little bit. But we had to make sure that they were comfortable as well, so they've come with us, and they've stayed at my mum and dad's before when we were renovating, so they know my parents. You know, they all love each other, so they're being cared for while we're here, and also while we've been off in our trips, we're able to go away because my mum and dad have been looking after the girls for us. I'll be quite honest, we still don't know what the future holds. What we did do, though, was we were really, really looking at alternative living. It's something that we're quite passionate about. We didn't know really what that meant, but we knew that, you know, and I'm not going to get into all the conspiracies and everything like that now, although I can go down a rabbit hole with that. I do like a bit of kind of escaping the matrix and getting out the system and what's going to happen in the future and that type of thing. So we've always looked to maybe our future holds living alternatively and not what the system dictates that you need to live. And that came to us in the shape of Vera, and I'm actually chilling in Vera now, as you can see, just chilling, having a little rest and relaxation while I'm talking to you. I'm going to get her cleaned up for our next trip in a couple of weeks. We're obviously Christmas now, so we're going to spend some time with our family. So yeah, we were looking at vans. Now, when I was a child, I always used to go away. My mum and dad always had a motorhome or a caravan, so I was used to that type of life. I don't know and I still don't know. If I had to, I think I could, but I don't know if we could live in the van full time, long term. I think we could definitely live in a van full time, but I think this van is perfect for, the trips that we're doing, short term staying, that type of thing. So we bought Vera, and you've seen plenty of content and plenty of kind of stuff, and videos and photos of Vera. We love her to bits. We touch lucky. She was the first van that we went and looked at. Well, we looked at so many online. We knew that we wanted one that had the fixed bed. We knew we wanted a medium wheelbase. We knew that, well, we had no experience, but we knew that we sort of wanted a Sprinter or a Crafter, because a lot of the forums that we were in say that they were the kind of easiest to maintain, less rust, that type of thing. I know there's so many other vans out there. I've learnt so much since we got Vera. I've learnt so much about vans and how to look after them and what you need to look out for. But this was the first one we've got. We made a few modifications, but the previous owners kitted her out. We haven't kind of built our own van or converted our own van or anything like that. We just did a bit of the decorating, we painted it, we freshened it up. We changed the double seat at the front to a single swivel. Just little touches like that to make it ours. And it does feel like ours now we've been away a few times. So we've been away on a few trips. We did that, and I think when we hit the Peak District, when Kelly got a little bit poorly, as I mentioned on the last video, I think it was just so much. We had literally gone from living the corporate life, what people would say would be like the dream life, essentially, to within a couple of months selling the house, moving into my parents, selling nearly everything we've got, getting the cat settled in, buying a van, and then going away. And I don't think our bodies had a chance to catch up with what our brain was doing, or vice versa, whatever way round it is. And it was pretty full on, and I've always classed myself as a pretty strong person. This year, that my theory has been tested a little bit this year, I must admit, because I've been quite emotionally under the cosh, shall we say. But it really affected Kel, and we had to take that time to recuperate and sit and figure out what it actually is that we want to do. So you're probably thinking, right, we both don't work, how the hell are we going to do anything? So we've been quite lucky, we've been quite sensible with money over our life. Like I say, we've been together almost 20 years. We've always had a little pot. We sold a house, we had a little money in that pot as well. So that's really sustaining us at the moment. And don't get me wrong, we're going to need to have an income at some point. I'm just really, and I understand that we're privileged, and I know there's people in a lot worse position than us. Privileged people that we can do this at the moment. So essentially what we want to do is we want to get a property. We can't, I'll be quite honest, we can't afford around the area that we're from. We're from the south. We're from just outside London, South Essex. Very expensive, commuter belt. We absolutely, well, let me rephrase that. We can afford a property in this area, but it just means we'll have to get another mortgage and I'll have to go back to work. I don't want to do that. So we're putting ourselves out on a limb, and we're looking for properties that are in our budget, that means that we can be mortgage free and build a life and do what we want to do, which is van travel. We want to grow our own veg. We want to kind of cultivate a slow living lifestyle. As easy as that is, I've literally no clue, and I know it's going to be tough. So actually that's probably a good lead into next couple of videos. Are probably going to be some more van trips, because that's what we've been doing, and that is what we're going to continue to do. However, we have also been filming in the background where we've been doing some house hunting. It's up north a little bit further, and we haven't found anywhere yet. We've actually kind of copped out on one of the properties that we didn't win. We're in an auction for another one, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because we are capturing a series of videos about house hunting. So, I mean, blimey, by the time that that series gets released, we're probably about 5 or 6 videos worth, to be honest, because we've not been successful so far. But essentially that is our goal. We want to find a property that, and let's be real, with our budget, which is very limited and very low, we're going to have to move up the country. We're also going to have to move to somewhere that needs extensive renovation. And when I just said that couldn't live in the van full time, another great benefit that Vera is going to give us when we do find somewhere is that when we are renovating, we're going to be able to stay in Vera. And I know a lot of people do that. And that's really given us a bit of get up and go to know that we've no experience with renovation personally. I mean, doing the work ourselves. However, we did renovate our previous property to quite a high spec with a builder that we know and that works with us. So we do know, you know, if plumbing needs doing, right, that needs doing. Electrics, yeah, we know that needs doing. But we want to go for a different style this time. As I say, we started this journey, I guess I became off work March, April time this year, 2024. And we're now nearly Christmas in December. Haven't found anywhere yet. I don't know how long it's going to take us to find somewhere. But while we're looking for somewhere, we are going to be capturing all our van content. We would like to, in the next few weeks, be able to bring a proper tour of Vera the van for everyone to see, because she is a little beauty, I'll be quite honest. And yeah, it's hard to predict, but what we would like to do is, for the moment, continue travelling around in Vera and exploring the UK, potentially Europe in the future. But you know, there's so many wonderful places in the UK that we want to hit off our list. So that's our first step. All the while in the background, we are house hunting and looking for properties. So we're doing all that in the background, and we just wanted to be transparent that van life is where we're at right now, with the support of our family, of course. We're enjoying it. We're learning to manage physical health and mental health at the same time. But we're also, it's real life, and that's what we want to share. So it's going to be van life, it's going to be house hunting, it's going to be, fingers crossed, in the future, house renovation, a lot of stuff like that. And I'm astounded that, you know, we started a little Instagram page. We've got over 1,000 followers now, and I know that's ridiculous to some people with like millions of followers and stuff like that. But I'm just astonished, and I think it is because we don't hide anything. You know, we're not perfect, but we're good people and we're real people, and we're just sharing real life, and that's what we want to continue to do on this channel. We just want to share what we do on the daily, sharing regular content. A lot of that's going to be van trips. A lot of that's going to be travelling around the UK, doing exciting stuff. Some of it is going to be talking about mental health, talking about physical health problems. Like I'm chatting to you now. I thought, you know, I just wanted to come on so you could get a feel for what we're actually doing on this channel. It's not just going to be van life. It's going to be everything that comes alongside van life, good and bad. So I hope you all stick around. So I think I've rambled on quite a bit, but to recap, so we're Wild Heart Hustle. This channel is going to continue to be real. I'm going to continue to do a few talking heads in between bits and bobs. You can follow us on our Instagram for more live updates. So that's at Wild Heart Hustle. Amazing community on there. We share quite a lot of Vera and different bits and bobs. But this channel is going to be capturing everything we do. And that is going to continue with van trips. That's going to be for the foreseeable. We're producing a series of house hunting content and videos that we're going to share. And whatever comes along with that. I could be sitting here next year in 6 months chatting away, and I could be like, oh, we're living on a boat now. We're doing this. I sounded like Sonia from EastEnders now. I'm just doing this now. But you know what I mean. I don't know. And I've always been pretty set with process, and you know, I've had rules and regulations my whole life in my job, and that has been my life. So now I'm discovering what I'm like without any rules for the first time, and we're just going with the flow. And it's been nice to to chill and to relax and just see where it takes us. And you know, we only get one chance with this life, and the way I see it, we just got to go for it. I'm in my early 40s. I'm potentially halfway through my life now. I've had a few bereavements in the family in the last few years that have really hit me hard personally. Hit all of us hard, but it's really affected me. And I just think life is so short, and I just want to have a good time. That's the bottom line. I just want to be happy and healthy. And to do that, I'm keeping track with these videos purely because I am genuinely interested to see, because 12 months ago I had no idea that I'd be sitting here doing this. So in 12 months I really want to look back and see how far we've come and what we've been up to and what we've been doing. So please stay tuned, because there's going to be lots more. This is not a video to come on and talk about what we're doing, so there's going to be a big break until we figure out what next video is going to be. This was purely to discuss and give a bit of context about what our life is about and what our plans are for 2025. So we're going to be hitting the road in January, and we'll be sharing that with you as well. So that's only a couple of weeks away. But from us here, Candy and Kelly at Wild Heart Hustle, have a fantastic new year, and we hope to see a lot more of you, and we hope that you'll see a lot more of us in 2025. But thanks for all your support so far, and catch up with you soon. Thanks for watching, hustlers. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share for the rest of our journey. Who knows where we'll end up. See you next time.